All right. Welcome to the 60 Days to Automate Challenge. Day number. So today we're going to be talking about automating your task management. So just a recap about what the 60-day challenge is. Basically, over the next 60 days, we're going to be live streaming in real time, setting it up, going through all the bugs, the setup from scratch, so you can see how to do 60 different automations. And really, it's probably going to be about 180 because each one of these we're doing 3 cases for each main topic covering. And today, we're going to be doing task management. So, started the week with automating your email and having draft replies and able to sort your email. Also, automating your calendar yesterday, how to be able to get summaries and to automatically have a draft email at the end. And today we're going to be talking about task management, where our goal is to really help get rid of some of the mundane task of just creating the tasks and staying, for lack of a better word, on task. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be using 2 different tools that I've used in the past, Notion and Airtable. And these are the two, they're pretty easy to get started with for newer users. To be completely honest, one of the things we use as well with task management internally is a tool, Jira, which some of you may be familiar with. If we have some time, maybe I'll also talk about how we can hook and how we have it hooked into it. But for the purposes of this course, I'm going to really be sticking to Notion, and we're going to talk about how we can create automated tasks. So I use my whiteboard over here for me to stay on task because it's right there. It's right in front of my face, right in my office here. And it's going to allow me to, I'm going to show you how you can take a picture and have it automatically create those tasks for you. We're also going to take what we learned in day 6 around analyzing the emails that are coming in. And in this case, we're going to look for tasks or action items that might be in those emails outside of just replying to them if they've asked you to do something. And really, the overall goal is to just increase your efficiency and just reduce your manual, just how much it takes to create these tasks. Because at the end of the day, task management is crucial for you to stay organized if you work with other people, or when you start assigning tasks to your eventual AI sidekicks that you'll be building throughout this course. You want to have some sort of system to ensure that you're staying on track. If it's all up in your head, if you're just like, oh, I'm going to get to that one day or do this, task management is so important. Breaking it down into really meaningful steps. You want to write that book. You want to plate that screenplay. You want to write that app. Really, it starts with a basic to-do, starting with what's my next step. And that's where AI can really help you take your random thoughts and create an actionable to-do list. And we'll go over that, how you can. And at the end of the day, entering my Jira tickets and keeping my task management up to date isn't what I like to do. I prefer to be creating content or working on video editing. These are the things that I enjoy doing, coding, not creating a ticket for this feature. And honestly, it's kind of prone to errors. So for instance, if I put in a support ticket versus someone else, maybe someone else's has more details about what browser and steps to reproduce. These are things that you can get in a more conversational way, and really standardize how your tasks and the different types of tasks are stored in your task management system, based off if it's something that's personal or work, or even within work, maybe the different tasks that you do. For instance, mine, I separate them from content type tasks, and engineering tasks have wildly different information that I need to add to them, and they'll have an entirely different workflow based off of that type of task. So it's really important, and a lot of that is prone to error, but if you have a really good task system, it's great for automation. And then at the end of the day, it allows you to manage your tasks the way that you want to while helping to keep your team on track. Like I mentioned, I prefer my whiteboard. It's right there so that I can see. That's it. And I don't have to worry about just check things off. It's nice to go up to the whiteboard. Some people use sticky notes. Some people still, like to do handwritten notes. Digital, I've never gotten to a system that I really like and will commit to, except for writing on the whiteboard. Or I used to email myself and having, because I'm inbox zero. Whatever works for you. But the problem is that what works for you doesn't always work for your teammates. And that's where, if you've ever been in a team meeting, we're going to use this and it just reminds me of the office space. We're doing our TPS reports this way, not that way. I think anyone who's ever worked in an office setting can relate to that. So what this allows you to do is to keep what works well for you, but automate it, putting it into the system in the way that your team needs it so that they can take action on it. Because unless my entire team's over here looking at my whiteboard, they don't know what's in my mind. So I have to be able to get that collaborate. So let's jump in. So the three automations we're going to be going over today. We're going to first give an overview of task management in Notion and in Airtable, from basic ones in Notion to a little bit more structured in Airtable and in Notion. Then we're gonna do a little fun. I'm gonna write some things on the whiteboard. We're gonna take a photo of it, and I'm gonna show you how you can then put those tasks into your task management system. With additional details and maybe even ask you some questions about it. And then we're going to be taking this and we're going to do automating task extraction from emails. So when I get an email and it says, can you make sure you sign this contract or do this thing? Outside of just replying to the person, if they're asking me to do something, how can we automatically create that as a task in my to-do list with a little bit of context from it? This becomes very handy when later ones, when you're emailed and we already set it up so that your emails are being looked at. Eventually, for instance, some of the things that you do pretty repetitively will just be done for you. And that truly is magic when you wake up or when you see for a week that you had 14 different things that used to take you, while it may have been 5-10 minutes here, it's just get those off your plate and not to have always be constant. So let's dive in. All right, we're going to go over here. So we're first going to give an overview of Notion. And if you remember from day 5, we set up Notion and Airtable and a few other API. And haven't already set up all of your API keys and things like that from day 5, please go back, watch that video, get everything set up. This is all assuming that you have Notion and Airtable set up with N8N or Make, whichever one you're for this, and answer it. So there's a couple different ways that you can actually create to-do lists and I'm going to start with the easy and go to the, so very basic here. And actually when I signed up for this, if you remember from day 5, it just started me off with a task manager. If you're just getting started, you're just trying to get your thoughts out, this is the best way to just get started. I can't stress it enough. There's just so many, when you have little micro tasks, even if they only take hour to do, just checking them off, you'll be really surprised at how much progress you can make, even if you think it's super little, and try to really bucket them into hour-long projects. That's just what's been working well for me, but breaking it down into bite-sized tasks. This is also going to be a skill that's going to help you in determining or into assigning different tasks for AI agents. The smaller the tasks and the least amount of context it needs, the better it is. So while these AI models will get smarter, the best way you can get the most usage out of them right now, is breaking down your tasks into smaller, more. So right here, the easiest way to go in and get started. So as you can see here, it started us off. As I complete these items, I can just go in here, select them. But how do we actually get this? Well, since it started off with us, it uses what's called slash commands. And that's actually, I'm going to go through here. And this is actually given us a checklist of how to get started with the basics. So if you hit / and you say to do, that's going to give you the checkbox. Then I can just say, we're going to go through Notion. Then we're going to go through Airtable and image to prompt, or sorry, image to task list. And as I'm just typing and hitting enter, it's just adding these check boxes, and then email to task list. So as I go through here, these are the different tasks that I'm going to be going through in this exercise. And this is great for jotting quick notes down. Hey, I got, maybe it's part of a document, maybe there's a to-do list on, maybe this is up here is like a help center article or something like that. Good for that, but it's not really good for, how do I say, really only I have the ability to say, is this done or is it not? But if you're working with any sort of team members or any sort of workflow, you'll know that tasks also need statuses. They need a little bit more description. So go through Notion. What am I going to go through in Notion? I don't know. What are we going to go through on Airtable? I could add tons of description, but then the checkboxes get lost. So you need a much more structured format. So Notion's great for this. Airtable doesn't really have an option for doing that I know of. And from this, they're more in the structured content. So I'll go over that here in just a minute. While we're in Notion, I want to show you a different way to generate a to-do list. So here, when you go to your home, and a little bit about Notion is they do have a lot of, and there's a whole community out there inside of so Notion. What I really highly suggest if you plan on and you want to dive into Notion is to really explore their community. They do have a lot in here, but they've moved it around of templates. They go. All right. So it looks like it's just Notion / templates. They have a ton of things in here, from study planners to charts to a personal plan, tons of personal planners. Student life. So as you can see here, for personal planner, monthly planners, there's weekly planners. And I have really good friends that have built just amazing workflows using these tools. And when you really look into some of these, they're really in depth and there's so many different ways. So I really suggest looking what works well for you and for what you're trying to task. Are you trying to, is your to-do list to get fit? Is it to do something else? Is it to do work? These are going to be much different types. So I highly suggest looking at their community. It's a great place to get started with. Going back in here, so definitely there's a lot of information here about what a block is, creating a subpage. But the thing that I want to talk about is what is a database. So a database is a core feature. It's in Notion, and it allows you to create much more structured content. They can have a little bit more information. So the way that you can do this is let's go back to our others. Everything starts with a slash on a lot of these. So if we go here and we type this and table, it's this one right here, the middle one, the table view for add a table view for a new or existing database. So I'm going to click on this. And what this has done is it's now created a place for my table. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say I want to link this to, we don't have any tables here, but if you already had a table, you could create one for that. And that's what we're going to do here, which is create a new one. And I'm going to give this, it says a page, but basically I'm going to say to do tasks. And I'm going to add a property. And in this case, this is where I can add different types of fields. So I can add a text field or number, or if I want to make it so that people have a specific number of options to, so a select, a drop down, I would choose that. And that's what I'm going to choose for, oh no, I'm going to choose text for my first property, so summary. And then that's going to be my first one. Then I'm going to add another one. I'm going to say the script or full description. All right, so this is going to be the full, what I want, all my notes. All right, type is text. Now we're going to add a status. Sorry, we're going to choose the select and we're going to say status. This is the name of the field here. We have a type select. It gives us the ability to sort it, but now we are able to give options. So where the other ones were like any text goes, we want these to be very specific. And I'm going to say new, in progress, and done. And we're going to give them some better colors here. Green means done. Let's see. Blue can be in progress, or let's say blue, yellow's in progress, and blue. Now we could also add some other, statuses here. This is a very simple one, but this is how you can then allow people to just choose who it is. Now I'm going to add another one. So I could add here files. I could add people. So I could assign things to different individuals. I could add dates. So for instance, when is this due? Which is what I'm going to add here. Due date. And we're going to go ahead and do that. All right, so now we have a summary, a due date, status, and the full description. And we could add a lot more different things, but for this right now, I'm just going to keep it at these 4 options. There's a lot of really cool other properties that I should probably mention in here. For instance, if you were looking for emails, that has, or URLs, this ensures that they're the right type. You can also do what are called formulas, which allow you to calculate the difference between 2 formulas, which we'll go into in later sessions. And then we have, for instance, relations. So this is when you can start relating different tables together. So we have to-do tasks right here. But let's say we had a field for let's say graphic jobs or something like that. It could relate those 2 tasks. So there's lots of different things that you can put in here and also connect it to as well. So you can connect it to your Google Drive, you're an engineer, your GitHub. And so that's another way. So now that we've defined what these are, now when I come up here and I say this, I can say, okay, Notion. I'm going to put, now when I go on here, I have a date that I can select. So today, I'm going to say, go through how to create a full to-do list. And I could add as much details. Now when I click on status, I can choose one of the ones. So it's in progress right now. And this summary, we don't need the summary in the name. We're just going to keep just the name. And we're going to actually delete the summary. So let's just right click on this and say delete property. All right. So we have the name, the due date, full description, and the status. So this is just a different way. And then if I want to add a new row here, I can just click on this button right here, this little plus, and add my new one, go through Airtable, etc. And add all these. I'm not going to go through how to do that on all of these, but kind of get the how you can do this. You can also drag these. So if you were going to prioritize these, for instance, you could drag these in different ways. And it also has sorting and filtering mechanisms. So for instance, if you wanted to filter, you only saw your new ones or your in progress ones or things like that. You could do that directly from. So that's kind of a crash course on building a to-do list in Notion. Now I want to jump over to how do you build a to-do list in another tool that I really like, which is in order to, for this one, we went through on day 5 how to set up Airtable. And Airtable is a bit more like Excel and a database kind of came together with a little bit of Notion. And you'll see what I mean by that when we start to get into this, because there's different similarities between them, and I'll kind of go over why I like certain tools for different things and throughout this course. So when we signed up, it asked us to create what's called base. And was our first base. We chose task management because we knew this was coming up on day 8. This would be when we would be using this system. So if we go in here and I chose this, you can see that it automatically set it up very similar to what we just did in Notion. This has already been set up for us. Once again, if we go back over here to this home page, I really suggest all of the different templates that are in here. You have things for event planning and product launches, tracking, much more. You have lots of ones for engineering, operations, and they have different workflows and things like that that you can put on here. There's a lot of really cool automation features that I like in this tool as well. And like I said, we're going to be going over some of those different tasks as part of this. So since it's already set up, what I want to show with you on Airtable here, because this has already been set up, if you want to add another field, another property, then you can go over here and you can just click on the plus button here for Airtable. And as you can see here, it has some of the very similar field types that were in Notion, from single text to attachments, checkbox, the select, users. They also have URL and email, so formulas. So there's a lot of similarities between their databases and Airtables. The way that you add new tables. So for instance, this is a base called task management, but usually the way that I organize my bases in Airtable are based off of, say, like an overarching project. So for instance, I have a base for the 60 Days to Automate Challenge that has my to-do lists. It has information about the marketing campaign details. It has all the workflow for all of our post-production, everything that goes into that. So there's a multiple tables on there. How you can do that is you can go over here and click on Add Tables. So if we didn't just want to just track our tasks, let's say we also wanted to track maybe our customers as well, so we could attach a customer list to a task. I'm going to show you how to do that. So we go here, and I'm just going to start from scratch so you can see what it looks like. Like I said, there's tons of templates. Highly recommend starting from one of those to kind of see how other people set them up. That's how I learn usually, is just download someone else's template, get in there, tinker around, see what works, see how they set that up. And then adapt it to your own by creating it and starting it from scratch. So in this one, I'm going to call it customers. So here, I'm going to still have, it's my customer name, customer name, save. It's assigned to, so maybe if I have certain manager or something like that, and its status. So this is more for task management. So I'm going to say, if a customer is, think of the word. So happy, neutral. Let's just use those. There's lots of different ways, from detractor to, there's different ways to rate your customers when we get into that area. And I think sales, or no, in sales and customer support, we'll talk about these different ways that you kind of these goals. But for now, sad, neutral, and happy. And now this one, we're going to connect this to that table. So the way I can have my different customers in here, I'm going to say I want to link this to my customers table. And here we can allow it to link it to multiple. So if this task was related to multiple customers, you could do that. You can also limit the record selection to a view, which we'll go over here in just a minute. And then you can also filter, a condition, something like that. But for this case, we're just going to say, hey, just give it to me all It would be like if you wanted to say only these tasks for, are labeled as account manager. But for this, we're just going to say, no, we don't want to link it to multiple records. We just want a one-to-one, say create field. And this is now linked from the customers. Now here, if I wanted to, I could just pull in the customer name or any other information I want about that. So maybe I want to actually pull in the status because that's going to help me prioritize. You need to do this task because they're in a sad state versus neutral or happy, or maybe you just a big win for them. We all have to prioritize, especially when you are working with multiple clients. So we say add that field. Now let's get some customers in here. So we're going to say customer Acme Inc. They sell rockets to coyotes. Is that how you spell it? That is not how you spell coyotes. Coyotes? No. Does anyone else have to go to Google to okay, you ever look at it? My spelling is horrible. That is what growing up with spell check your whole life. Now with AI, it's just, you don't even need to. So Coyote's pretty happy. Well, he's pretty sad. He hasn't been able to get the runner in a while. So we don't have anything here. So now we can see, since we didn't have to add this, this is already connected to our tasks. So if I'm in this view, I could say, hey, I want to add some of the tasks. We don't have any tasks in there just yet, but we'll go over here how you link it here. That's what we're going to do now. Let's get another one in here. Let's say OpenAI. They sell AI. Their status is very happy because they have cash rolling in. And then let's say we have, let's just start with these two. All right. So our tasks here. Now, when I go in here, so we want to design a new website. So we're going to go in here and we're going to choose it. Now, when I choose customers, I can now go in here and choose OpenAI, or maybe update the financial report. I can just click on this and I'm going to say that's for the coyote. So as you can see here, as I add them, it's bringing in, oh, this customer is happy or sad. And you can do this something similar to this in Notion as well. There's one other thing I wanted to go in before we get into now what can we do and how do we actually get pass into it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to talk about views. So views are very important because they allow us to, in Airtable, only run an automation on a particular. So for instance, if I wanted to create a new view of just my sad customers, those are the ones that I want to really prioritize because we've obviously let them down in some way. So we need to make sure that we're doing what's right for the. So we come in here and we say sad customers. I'm going to give it a little create new view. So we now have a sad customer. And it looks like the same view, right? Well, that's where these come in. There's lots of different options up at the top for being able to customize what this view looks like. So for instance, here on this one, I just need to know, I want the description, I want to know the status, and I want to know when any tasks that they have are going to be done. Because, at the end of the day, I want to keep, so that's one. So we're just only care about these fields, but now we need to put a filter in. Here we can add a filter. So this is a condition. So we're task. What we want to do is say where status from customers is sad. So now I can stay on top of whatever tasks that are on there. I can follow up with my team, make sure that everything is running smoothly. Really focus my efforts on that they at least get into the neutral. So that's how we can create different views. And we'll see why that's important. But there's not just grid views. The other thing that I like here is, for instance, Kanban board, which we can go in here and we can say, our Kanban, which if you're not familiar with the term Kanban board, it's basically just a board that allows you to move things throughout its status. And I'm just going to say this is the Kanban status board. And this is really meant to kind of do a high level picture of it. So we're going to use the status as it. and hit done. So now I can easily just look at, okay, it hasn't started, and I can just, and if I click into it, I can get the full details. And when something starts, so when I start this financial report, I can just move it here, move it back. It's kind of nice to be able to move things into that green category there, but that's one. There's also a timeline view. So for instance here, if I wanted to create a new view and do it based off of the due dates, could then also what that is. So this is running from this time, and then here I could say I want to look at it as a Kanban board, and I can actually see, a list. What are all the different items? It gives me a lot of flexibility to just view the data how I want it. Great for project management work. You also have a Gantt chart. If you're not familiar with the Gantt chart, it kind of, you'd have dependencies. So if one task is dependent on another one completing, you can kind of where those timelines fit out. And then also calendar, which are really great for like media calendars and things like that. So I think gallery is a good one too, which we'll show over when we start getting into multimedia and how you can like look at a lot of different thumbnails for your content and things like that. So what we're going to do is, now we've set up a couple of tasks, we are going to see how we can take handwritten notes and create tasks in Airtable from N8N. So for that, I'm going to switch over to Whiteboard here. All right, and I'm going to actually write down a few things. There we go. All right. So we have this here. So checklist, have coffee with Bill, write the voter sidekick blog, launch new video. So I didn't even bother correcting what my writing said. Now I'm going to take this image and I want it to create a to-do tasks in my Airtable. So how do we do that? Well, we're going to open up N8N and we're going to go home and we're going to add workflow. So this one is called Day 8, Automating Your Tasks. All right, we have this. So now what is going to be the trigger? We've always just, when some time frame hit or we got an email, but how do I get this image? Well, for this one, we're going to just go ahead and create a form for testing. Now, I'll show you on day 10 how you can just give this to an AI assistant and have it describe it, how you can do this and how you can manage it all through there. What we're doing in these 4 days is laying the groundwork for what your assistant will be doing on day 10. So for this one, I'm just going to say on form submission. We did this yesterday. If you didn't watch the video from yesterday, we created a form so that, and also an N8N so that people could email. That was day 6 actually. All right, so we're not going to give any authentication. So the form title is image to-do list. All right, give me an image and I'll give you a to-do list. And that field label, we're just going to say image. That's it. And we're going to choose this and we're going to choose file. So for field type, we're going to choose file. Sure, why not? We allow them to do multiple files. So if we have multiple pieces, and if we wanted to restrict it, but for now, we just are going to allow all. And we're going to make it a required field. So now I'm going to test this step and I'm given this form and I just say hit choose that and And so let me go over. All right. So here we have choose your files. We've chosen that one and we submit the form. We'll have to do this a couple of times, but as you can see here, we get a image, and this is what's called a binary. So as you can see here, up in the top right, it's selected as binary. If you choose table, you don't really get much except that it was submitted. You don't get anything here in the JSON because all the information, all this image is located here. So, but now that we have this, how do we get a to-do list? Well, we'll open up our trusty LLM chain and we choose that. And for here, we're going to define this prompt, and we're going to hit expression here and open it up. Now for this, we're going to tell it. So on this one, we're going to, well, let's go here. I want you to analyze the attached image and return an array of tasks. We'll just start there. So basically, I'm going to say list of tasks. So I want you to analyze the attached image, right, and return a list of tasks. Great. So one of the things that you also is in the I think it's in the model actually. We need to add our model. We're going to choose GPT-4o mini. So this is actually a different way. So on this, instead of this, open this up. Yep. We're going to actually not use this one. So OpenAI actually has it. So where I got to this is, so we're going to open up here, type in OpenAI. And when you open it up, there is this image action. So analyze an image. There's also generate an image, which I'll go in a different one, but you can also do things like generate audio, transcriptions. So right here, these are all baked to it if you're using OpenAI. So in this case, I have to go in, I say the resource is the image, and let me hook this up actually. Go, delete some of these other ones. So we just have our form and then OpenAI, that's it. And then we're going to choose, we'll leave it as 4o mini. And right here we have binary files. And field name is image right up here. So this is going to come in here and it should give us, it's going to say, hey, it needs an image. It's going to analyze it. I'm using the 4o mini model. I'm just having a basic input here for what's in this image just to see if it's working, and binary files, the input type. So if you had a URL, you could just put that in here. But in this case, since we're having the person upload it, it is coming through as binary, seen by here. Then the field name comes from right here. Now, if we say test step, all right, it did say what? All right, let's do this. We're hitting that bug again with N8N, where it just keeps on going. All right, let's test the full workflow. Choose that, open, submit form. All right. The image shows a whiteboard with 3 to-do list items written in marker. The tasks listed are 1. Have coffee with Bill. 2. Write voter sidekick. Blog. 3. Launch new video. There are check marks next to each item indicating they might be tasks that need to be completed. There's also a small figure or trophy at the top. Oh, it actually, let me show, you probably didn't catch that in the, let's see here. It's caught my Dundee Award list up here. I don't know if you can see that. Oh, it caught that. Interesting. All right, well, it had very good eyes and caught that. So now we know that. So now how do we do Airtable? This up here and click here and on the little plus button and hit Airtable. Click on that. And now we're going to be given a lot of different options. So here we can create a record. So if you haven't done it already, which it does, we did this. All right, well, we'll do this again. So we're going to go through and I guess setting up the API token. I thought that, make sure something, save my Airtable accounts right here. Why is that not working? This type of connection was to please create a new credential of type access token. Let's add this. Airtable Personal Access Token. Looks like there's a few different ways, so we'll choose that one. All right. Now go back over on here, go into my accounts, get it real quick. I'll come back and show you where to go get this. All right. So the place to find that on that. So just to recap, we added the wrong one, apparently. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this. This was the Airtable API, which is no longer supported, apparently. So when you're adding your credential for Airtable, you just do the Personal Access Token API. And then for that value, I can show you where. So if I go back over to Airtable, if you're in your Airtable and you log in, up at the top right, click on your name, go to Builder Hub, and then you'll be given this, say create new token, give it a name. Everything still applies to what we did on day 5. You have to give it a scope that it can read, write. I just gave it full access to be able to do everything for that reason. So once you have that, then go back in and paste it to your credentials, which is here in that access. That out. I don't know why it keeps auto-filling that. So now if we go back over to our workflow, there it is. All right, so we're back in business. All right, we got Airtable in here with the personal access token. We're going to create a record. And here we're, as I mentioned, we have bases and we have tables and then we have views. So just a recap on what the differences are. And let me get back to, so task management is my base. And just so that it's a little bit clear, I'm going to change this. I'm going to say customer CRM, right? Because I'm going to have tasks, I'm going to have my customers, maybe some other things that I want to put in here for my business. But just to really show that. The tables are tasks and customers. And then these over on the left are what are called views. And those are really the 3 things that you hook up when connecting an Airtable. So going back over here, we're going to go over here and we're going to select it. I only have one. So there's customer CRM table. Easy when there's only 1 or 2. I have many, and I'm going to choose tasks. And this is where you can then put in the information. Now, here's the thing. I'm just going to go ahead and, well, I have to go ahead and execute the previous node again just to get that back. So let's test the workflow. Let's choose the file. Boom, hit open, submit the form. All right, so it's running again. I got that. Oh, look at that. So what this did, so as you can see here, it created the content, and we had this map each column manually, right? So if you look over here, what it did is it just created an empty object, which if I come over here and go to this, I can see, yep, sure did. Here is an extra field, number 5. I want to delete this, but it worked in the way that it was doing. So now what we want to do is, for now, just to see this, I'm just going to show you, and I'm just going to say, hey, this content is going to go in the description. And I'm going to say image task list. We'll go over why we're doing that here in just a minute. Now if I hit test step, this is executed. Now we have task, and then we have this. So we want to do something in between. We actually kind of want to do some analysis on this, right? So from this, maybe help us prioritize, maybe even connect it to a connect. So what we can do is we can run this through another chain, which we'll do next. What we're going to do is we're going to, instead of just using what the analysis that came here, we're going to add an LLM chain here. We're going to add a basic LLM chain. And we're going to define our prompt. Click on the expression so that you get this nice little prompt area here. And I'm going to say the following is the analysis completed by another AI. Its job was to describe the image. If the image is a task list, complete the following. Or I'm going to say return following. I'm going to say the task name. I'm going to do it like this just for easier. So the name of the task. So each one of these, I'm giving it just like what we did yesterday with content, sales, and support, just in the prompt, giving it the keys that I want and that this what I want it to be. So I want the task name, description, the long description of the task. Now it's going to make stuff up here, but when we get into later sessions, you'll see how you can augment this with your own internal, what else is on your calendar, what else your task list, what you do as a company, who Bill is maybe. Those are going to be things they can offer. But for this case, it's probably stuff up. And then the tasks. This should be a list of all of the tasks in asked identified. All right, so we now have a name, a description. Oh, sorry, no. This is for the next one. I want to say priority. This is you'll suggest a priority. And here I'm going to give it the options. So I'm going to say high, low, medium. All right. So here I'm saying I want it to suggest a priority, but I want these specific values. Now, we're going to take this and we're going to, if you remember from yesterday, put this into, I just put it in here for showing it, and I'm going to return, please respond in JSON. You always got to be nice to the AI just in case. All right, so we have here, and I'm just going to add a, you know what, I'm not even going to do that. What I did here is I'm just moving some things around, but basically I just want to show you, and this is kind of experimentation as well with me when defining what the format is. I experiment with putting it in JSON. I experiment with just doing it this way. I experiment with just putting it in the output parser, which we'll see here in a minute, which we learned about yesterday. And that's what I'm going to do next. So with this, I'm just going to leave this in here. And I'm going to require a specific, remember that from yesterday. This is going to make it so that we can use this in a structured format to then put different fields based off this. And if you look at it, not only it's going to be taking the task name, it's going to create a description, and then it's going to use some analysis to determine, hey, what should be the highest priority on this? But before we do that, we have to add our chat model. So in this case, we have OpenAI, and we're going to choose 4.0 mini. Remove this little chat thing here. We don't need it. And then for the output parser, so this is where we can do that. So we're going to use the structured output parser for this. We're not using this item list output parser. We use that for a different option. I'll go over when we would use that later. For this one, I'm just going to do this. So as you can see here, there's already one set up for us. So state, California, cities. This is where, if you remember the priority, recommended priority, that's where we're going to put this. So I'm just going to paste what I put here just so it's handy. And I'm just going to put it in the format that it wants. Here, I'm going to use this. I don't know if this matters, but it's not turning green, and I want it to be green. So I will make it that way. And then description. So that's the one thing we do have to add on here. So we're going to say description. And what we're doing is we're basically saying, hey, I want it to look like This is us defining the structured format so that we can then use it in Airtable and other automations. Now, when we run this, let's see what it's complaining. Text is required. So I forgot to add the analysis that was done. Don't forget that part or it will really not work. So there we go. So we got to put that in there and we have the analysis and that's, so the following is, so just to recap what we've set up here. I still hate it when this thing, why is this thing being, what is it complaining about? Let's try removing this. See if that was interesting. Why is this another bug? Value empty is not supported. I am very curious as to why this is not. All right, let's, sometimes within 8N, I swear, I just have to run it and all of a sudden it works. So let's upload the image again and test it and see what happens, because there most definitely is a prompt in there. I think we can all see that. Why it's not there, I don't know. So I just submitted the form again. Still says it's waiting for the trigger event. All right. Test workflow. Use files. Got it. Submit form. All right. I think I broke in 8N. Is it not? All right. Let's debug this. All right. This seems to be a problem. That might be caused. So, hello world. How about that? Is it going to complain about that too? Yes, you are going to complain about the value hello world. I just do not get. Let me try re-adding this. I'm going to delete you. I'm guessing maybe it got stuck in a weird state because I did open. It's not complaining about that. So I'm going to, it's no longer complaining. Oh, well, wait. There we go. Sometimes just turning it off and turning it back on works every time. All right, so we're going to go in here. We're going to try to test this workflow yet again. Upload the image. All right, there we go. Kicked off. Here we go. So it's analyzing the image. Now it's taking it, and now we have our structured content. So now, why is this? What is this output? So it gave us one task name, to-do list. The image shows the description, and then an array of priorities. Not what we had asked for, or is it? So let's take a look here. So technically, it looks like that is what we asked. Because actually what we want is we want to return what is called an array. So technically what we want, and I don't know, this might be how it interprets an array. I'm going to actually, let's see if this works. What I did is I put these brackets. So it's a bracket right next to your enter and P, in between your P and backslash, the brackets. Put that around there because that makes it known it's going to be a list of items. Let's try this. All right, so we're submitting the form. It's going through it, analyzing. Let's see what it returned this time. All right, still returned only one item. Oh no, it didn't. So have coffee with build, empty description, empty priority, empty array. So it is an array. It didn't hallucinate. That's interesting. I'm going to tell it, make up a description, ensure that priority is always one of high, medium. All right, so we're just telling it to make up a description. Like I said, most of the time you get that from other details, whatever is happening. And we're saying it, hey, make sure it always has use your best judgment to prioritize the task. All right. So we're saying use your best judgment. We're saying, hey, it's okay to use your judgment on this, depending on the task and what judgment you're trying to tell it to do. You generally comply with something like this. All right. And then you're kind of saying, hey, make sure it's one of these. Now, I may have to change the outbound parser, but we'll check that here in just a second. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to test this. Aha, there we go. So we have launched new video, finalize and upload the new video, which has tight deadlines. Voter Sidekick blog, draft that, name, have coffee with Bill. So here high priority. Get that video out there. That is the number one high priority. Then I can write the blog. And then if there's time with Bill. So now I have 3 items here in the output. Now, there's one more thing that I have to do now to get this in a way that I can put these. And what I have to do here is split out. And what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to just drag this in here. Output, yes. There we go. Why is it not letting me test? Oh, because it's running again. Let me refresh this, and there we go. All right. Now we're going to test this workflow, and we're going to say test. We're going to open it up, choose our image, submit the form, and it's going through the process. It's analyzing the image, getting information. Now it's splitting it up, and we have 3 items. What did it actually do? Let's see. So, all right. So now we have our task name, description, and priority. So for the task, I'm going to choose, just drag this one over. For the description, I'm going to remove that placeholder we had there and put that here. And now I'm going to set priority. There we go. And now we're going to go back over here. And as you can see, it added these already. I'm just going to clear this out by just selecting them. Saying delete all selected tracks. And we're going to say test step. All right. Let's see if that worked. Look at that. We have launch new video. We have our description for it, and it has prioritized them based off of its best judgment, which was pretty accurate, actually. And the more that you use this, I do this all the time. I'll just go over to my whiteboard. I'll brainstorm a bunch of stuff, get a bunch of ideas out of there and be like, hey, make some sense out of this and help me. What should I do first? It's a great way to just get all of that out of your head and then put it in a structured way that you can then. So next, now that we have, we talked a little bit about how you do your task management lists in both Notion and Airtable. The basic ones for Notion. We're going to continue with Airtable. But next, what we're going to do is we're going to see, instead of submitting a form, if it can analyze any of the content in an email and create tasks based off of that. Now, this one's going to be a little bit easier because we'll be able to reuse a lot of the same things that we just did. So we can come in here and we're going to save this. And I'm just going to go over here. I'm going to highlight them all by just clicking and then dragging. So you select this, hit Command C or Control C if you're on Windows, and then Command or Control V. So copy paste. Right now, I'm going to take this down here because the same basic steps are going to apply. Instead of a form, I'm going to be using an email from a list that we learned yesterday. Instead of analyzing an image, I'm going to be analyzing the text. Then I'm going to be taking that analysis and then I'm going to create it as structured content. So I'll be able to use this same item. And this will be the same. So really the only 2 things I have to replace here are these 2. Email node, or the form node to be an email. So let's do that. And we'll go here, Gmail, and we're going to, where was it? Get many messages. Go. Go back to day 6 to go over how to get these, but just a little recap. We choose our message. We're going to say operation. We want to get many emails. We are not going to simplify it because we do want all of the text for this. But before we do it, we need to add a filter here for a label. And the only 2 labels are actually, no, we do have a label. And that label is, why is it? So this is important thing. So there was a problem loading the parameter options from the server. This means that our credential, for whatever reason, is no longer there. So let's go check that out. So let's save this over here, credentials, email accounts. So if you need to re-get this information, which I don't know why it's doing this, and I don't know why it's autofilling. I need that to stop. I don't want to do that. Let me see what happens when I say log in. Interesting. It's saying that it hasn't. I'm wondering if since I changed it yesterday. All right. So we're going to go a little recap if this ever happens to you and it loses it. So we're going to go here, open in here. This just gives me a quick link to Google Cloud, which is our console. So we have our project digital at scale demo. And if we go down here to APIs access services. Oh, I know why. I did revoke because I revoked them. So what I do here, and I'm going to make sure that I go over here outside of the item. All right. Is right. Looks like I am able to get that. Great. All right. We're back in business. All right. So if that ever happens to you, let me just. So when you log in and you go to APIs and services so if you're on your dashboard, go to access services right down here, APIs. This will be your favorite place to go to for this course. Bookmark it if you have to. Actually, that's what I'm going to do. Here we go. Go back here. And then I'm not going to click on it because it actually shows you the credentials, but your credentials will be on the right-hand side. So just make sure that it matches the client ID, the secret, and I just needed to reconnect it there. All right. We'll probably have to do that a few times throughout this course. It's just something that happens as part of automation. All right. Now, when I go here and I connect this, and there they are. So here, I'm going to use my support email ones. And that way I can, if there's any tasks or anything in there, I'm going to have it just create a task from the support email. And what we're going to do is we're going to test this step. Guess what? There's no support email. So what we're going to do is log into our Hotmail and send a support. So my credentials are not working anymore. I tried to set up my Gmail and it was broken. Help me, please. I can't get my work done. And I'm going to do, I'm going to send another one that's a little less there to just go. So we're going to go here. We're going to add a one that's a question about my plan. What plan am I currently on right now? Now, once you've hooked it into a CRM, these are the types of emails that you could automate. Doesn't need a support person to tell this person what plan they're on, but is a very common one for especially SaaS companies to just get basic questions. So I've now sent 2 emails to here. So I have them here. So we have my credentials are not working anymore and question about my plan. So if you remember from day 6, we talked about how you can organize your email by labels and what automations you can do with that. Here's how we can now take this and put tasks. So we can simply just drag this over to my support email. All right. So what we're going to do here is go back over here and click on test step. Now we have the 2 items that we just put in there. Now, what do we want to do with these items? Now, that's where we're going to want to analyze it. So for each one of these, I want to analyze it and see how many tasks there are. Because someone could be like, hey, can you do this for me, right? There may be 1 task. Both of these just have 1 task, but I'm just kind of showing how you can set this up. If there were multiple tasks, and maybe we'll try that as our final thing, although it is getting towards the end of the session. What I want to do here is change this prompt. So here I am going to just change this. So I'm going to leave this top part, but this part right here. The following is an email for my customer support. I want you to analyze this email and create a list of all tasks in this email. So now we're going to change this. We're going to say, hey, this is email. We're just giving it the raw email. and we say make up a description, or no, based on the user's email and suggested support response. So this is a nice thing too, is you can actually then put in here, hey, what should you help your support team start on third base? And we'll go over all of that a little bit later. Use your best judgment to prioritize the task and ensure that the priority. So nothing in that's going to change. So in this case, we actually want to change and we want to bring in the details from the email. And what we're going to do here is we're going to scroll down and we're going to say who this is from. We're going to say the subject and we're going to get, where's the text? This is why they have a simplified version. There it is. All right. And the text. All right. So from digital at scale, subject, question about my plan, and body. All right. We now have this going. So if you notice here, I didn't have to because it's actually in the value, but it actually had from and subject already there. Didn't have it in there for body, so that's why I have to add it. So it's nice to have this see what it's going to be rendered over right here. So now we have our basic prompt for this. And this is where, you know, you can really get creative in when you hook up your own knowledge bases and things like that, of what you want to put in here. So now I have this prompt, and honestly, this should work. Let's just go ahead and hit test flow. Wrong flow to test. We're going to turn you off. So if you ever want to turn one off, for instance here, you can just hit this little not activate button. I'm going to save this. I'm going to add a manual trigger because there is technically a trigger for this. This would be something we would do on some sort of item. So what we're going to do is just click on this to test it. We go here, got the 2 items. It's analyzing it, found the 2 there, and boom, we have 2 items. So now if we go back over here to our item, we have our task. So when we open up this, oh, it actually said that was high priority. It was to identify their current plan. So respond to the customer query about their specific plan, the user, which is affecting their ability to provide assistance to resolve the issue. So this is one of those things that you can get into. For instance, when we use this for our own chatbots, for our own support, we usually have it interview the person. They're not usually filling out a form anymore. So this is just a way that you can now take in your emails and have it create tasks that I could then assign and delegate to either part of my team or other sidekicks to handle. So today we went over how to do a task management in both Notion for a basic one, and then how to set up a database there. A lot of these same automations are available as well in Notion, as well as Airtable. Like I said, there's a little bit of overlap. There's a little bit different setup. Let me know in the comments if you want me to make a video on how to do that in Notion. Happy to do that as well. But then we've shown how you can take your handwritten notes on the whiteboard and take a picture of it and create a task list, which is pretty cool. And then how you can hook up your email so that it can automatically create a to-do list or task lists from those emails. So that's it. That's today. That was day 8. So I'll go ahead and open it up for if there's any questions here. Can I sync tasks between Notion and Airtable? Interesting. Yes, actually you can. So there are ways that you can sync them through. So as I mentioned, N8N, so there actually is, I think we hooked this up. So you can go in here and you would get a database, which is what we set up, for instance, for that task list. And what you could do is you could have one that grabs the database. So let's see if I can grab the one that I have from the list. I don't know why it's not showing up here, but in theory it would show up in that area. And then what you could do is you could connect it to your Airtable, and then you could keep them in sync. So when one thing happens in Airtable, it syncs it over there. So for instance, if you were keeping your customers in Airtable and your task management in Notion, and you wanted to, when something like for instance, someone saying, I want to cancel, and your support team, you may want to kick off something on your Notion that, oh, good question. Let's see here. Can you integrate your calendar? Yep, absolutely. So we learned yesterday how to automate your calendar, and this one's already going a little long, but yes, you can absolutely take those tasks, and instead of putting them in an Airtable, you can just put them on your calendar if you wanted to. That would require a little bit more setup. So when do you want to do it? We'll probably on Friday do an exercise around doing an exercise on looking at your to-do list and then giving a suggested time frames where you can block off different times based off of when meetings are and the tasks that you need. So some things only require 20 minutes of mental space. Some require a couple hours. So that's where you can use AI to help you intelligently plan out your week as well. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining me today. Once again, I really appreciate everyone coming and joining during these live streams. And tomorrow we're going to be on day 9. We're going to be talking about file management. So we've done your email, we've got your calendar all working, you got your task management, but as you've heard me say with your email, with your calendar, if you were able to give more information about your services, if you're able to give more information about common things that you ask, and more about your business, it's going to give much better responses. So tomorrow we're going to hook up our Google Drive folder so that we can use that to both information to these sidekicks, but also to a little tip on how you can use it to start to categorize all of your documents. If you're like me, mine are everywhere and not very organized, sometimes hard to find. I'm going to show you a way to take control of that and to start organizing. So with that, I really appreciate everyone, and thank you, and have a great day.